Hey everybody, Ray here. Except for a few of my close friends, probably not too many people know that I'm a CPAP user. I never thought I had a problem with sleep apnea, but I could snore like a freight train. I mean, I could keep the whole house awake, and it just got to be intolerable for my family. So I finally agreed to go have a sleep study done. And you know what? It turns out that I do have moderate sleep apnea. It also turns out that I sleep so much better with this AirSense 11 than I have in years. So I am now a firm believer in treating sleep apnea because it can do a lot of bad things to you and you don't even know that it's happening. So besides getting a good night's sleep, what I have found is that I don't want to go even one night without using my CPAP machine because I sleep so much better with it. The problem is when I travel, hauling around this AirSense 11 by ResMed, it's a pretty big package as I'm going to show you. So to alleviate that problem, what I've done is I've gone out and I've invested in this ResMed AirMini. And you can see just by looking at them right here how much smaller that is. I'm going to give you all of the weights and the size comparison and so forth. But most importantly, what I'm going to do is try to give you a sense of how noisy is the CPAP machine, the AirSense 11 compared to the AirMini, because one of the biggest complaints about the AirMini is the noise that it produces. I'm not going to do a real in-depth review of the ResMed AirMini. There are a lot of reviews out there and people that can do a much better job than I do. I'm just going to do the comparison of the two. Hopefully you'll be able to decide for yourself if this is a good unit for you, or you might think it's too noisy like a lot of other people do. If you're interested in my comparison, stick around and I'll go through it with you. And hey, don't forget, if you like this video, I'd appreciate hitting that thumbs up button if you would. When packed in their cases, the Mini is about 4.5 inches smaller in both length and width, and it's about an inch smaller in height. The ResMed Mini doesn't come with its own case, so I bought this little case from a company called Swiss Gear. I'll post the link in the description below because it's worked out really well. Here are the dimensions for the CPAP units themselves. You can see that the ResMed AirMini is significantly smaller than the AirSense 11. The weight difference is substantial, with the AirMini weighing more than 2.5 pounds less than the AirSense 11. That's a huge difference when you're traveling. When you open up the cases, you can see that the AirSense 11 takes up all the room in its case, while the AirMini has room to spare, and that's good because sometimes I'll want to take a battery. Speaking of batteries, I chose to go with the Freedom battery. I'll put the link to that in the description below. You can say that it weighs 2 pounds, 9.6 ounces. They're pretty heavy. So if I want to go camping and I have to include the battery, that now moves the weight of the Mini up to 4 pounds, 1 ounces. That's still a ½ pound less in weight than the AirSense 11. Now I'm fortunate in that I only have to use the mask with these nasal cushions. A lot of people have to use that full mask. I'm lucky. I sleep with my mouth closed. I don't have as much pressure as maybe some people have in the CPAP going in, which can force your mouth open. So I'm lucky enough to be able to use these nasal cushions. So this is probably one of the least invasive masks that you can possibly sleep with. And so when I bought the mask for the AirMini, I was able to get the nasal cushion mask as well, and I'll put that I'll put the item number for this mask somewhere in the video here so you can see it. But in both cases they're pretty light and not very invasive. So what I'm going to do is I've got a Rode microphone right here that I'm using to record, and I'm going to start the machine up. I'll do the AirSense 11 first. I'll hold my microphone near the machine so you can get a sense of how loud the machine might be. And then I'm going to put my mask on, breathe through my mask, and you'll get a sense of how much noise there is as the air goes in and out of the mask. We'll see how that goes. So interestingly enough, when I played back the video to see what it sounded like, the machine is so quiet that even when they held the microphone down here, all you could hear was me breathing through the mask. And then you could hear it even more when I brought the unit up here, the microphone up here, to test the breathing. So let's now try the AirMini with the same test. Now, one thing to note is that the AirSense 11 has a humidification chamber. So it's humidifying the air all the time when it comes in. The AirMini does not have that humidification chamber in there to hold water because it would just make it too big. So what they've done is they've got this recirculating little valve in here that takes the humidity out of the air and circulates it back in so the air isn't too dry when you breathe it. And so the air coming out of here actually is a little bit louder than the air that just comes out of the nose piece vent here. My personal opinion is I don't mind the sound of either one of them. I think that this one is a little bit louder, but some people have complained about it being really noisy. I just don't get that. I think that it's just fine. And for me, the rhythmic breathing in and out is almost like white noise. In fact, when I put this on at night and I lay my head down on that pillow and I sleep, and I always sleep on my side, and these masks work great for me sleeping on my side, that rhythmic breathing in and out and hearing that air coming in and out is actually very relaxing because it kind of tells my body it's time to go to sleep. And I'm asleep within minutes. So I don't think that the sound level, personally, is an issue between this unit and this unit. As I mentioned, I like to go camping. And in order to be able to do that with a CPAP machine, you're going to have a battery. And I showed you a little bit of the battery when I talked about the weights, because when I travel and camp, I'll have to have this battery and its own plug with it. Although I won't have to take the regular AirMini plug, because this will plug directly into the AirMini. What I've done is I have tested this now for 2 nights in a row. And after sleeping 2 nights, about 7.5 or 8 hours, both of those nights, I still had 34% power left in this battery. Typically, when I go camping, I go for about 2 nights. So I'll be able to get my CPAP usage for 2 nights out of this battery and not have to worry about it recharging. In fact, with 34% left, I could probably squeeze a 3rd night out of it. So besides the size and the weight and the noise of these 2 machines, there's a couple of other differences that we should point out. One is that, as I explained before, this has the humidification chamber. So you're always getting that constant humidity that's coming through the hose into your mask. This, again, has this little chamber that recirculates some of that moisture and warmth as you breathe out. It grabs that vapor and lets it recirculate back in. Does it do as good a job of humidification? I don't think so. I think this does a better job. But this does a job that's fine for what this is designed for. The other difference is that this has a heated hose. So it warms the air up as it's coming into the CPAP mask. But it also makes this hose much heavier. This AirMini unit has a really, really light hose, but it doesn't heat the air. I've not found that to be a problem at all. Again, as it's catching that warm, moist vapor coming out of your nose, it recirculates some of that warm moisture back in, and I've not had a problem with my sinuses feeling dry at all when I've used this mask here. Okay, so let's wrap this up. I'm pretty happy with the AirMini. I think this is going to be great for traveling, and particularly when I want to go camping. A caveat here is that, at least in my case, you may be different. In my case, insurance won't cover the cost of a second CPAP machine. This is an out-of-pocket expense, and they are not inexpensive. They cost about as much as the AirSense 11 does. I think I picked up mine in a bundle with the AirMini and the mask set up here, and I got it on sale, and it was $825 or something like that. I got it at cpap.com, and they were great people to work with, by the way. And so it's not an inexpensive investment to make. But if you want to go camping or you want something lighter to be able to travel with, I think that it makes a lot of sense. So I'm happy with it. I like it. The sound quality is just fine. I give it a thumbs up. You have to make your own decision. I hope you liked this video and it was helpful to you. If it was, give me that thumbs up. I appreciate that, and I'll see you on the next video.